In the news this week, as government revenue hits $6 billion, could Mark McGowan actually afford the $800 cost of living cash relief payment? Exclusive details coming up.
Slippery slope to racism. Indigenous advocate slams the latest entertainment precinct laws.
Police investigate the brutal slaying of a man with possible links to bikies in Angara.
Raw show draws to a close after a fantastic week of fun. And later, Dr. Andrew Miller's comment.
This is The Evening News with Ivan Loom and Maliva Thorne.
Good evening. Premier and Treasurer Mark McGowan has been urged to consider additional cost of living relief, with an exclusive WAMN news poll showing 75% of viewers surveyed support an $800 cash relief payment. As the government swims in a $6 billion surplus, should the $800 policy go ahead? And most importantly, will it help struggling West Australian families? Veteran political journalist Peter Kennedy joins us with exclusive details. Peter, thanks for your time. 75% of our viewers want to see an $800 cost of living cash relief. The government has recorded a $6 billion surplus. There's no excuse for Premier Mark McGowan not to consider the policy.
Oh, look, $800 is a lot of money to ordinary families and people who are doing it tough. But the government can provide, I think, or could budget to provide some relief. But it would need to be on a one-off basis. People can't rely on government to keep providing bulk payments. The payments, if they're going to be made, they need to be targeted. And the risk is this. The government's in a very financial situation at the moment, record budget surplus, but this is totally reliant on resources, high world resource prices, iron ore and natural gas. But in 12 months' time, those prices, who knows where they're going to be? They could collapse, and that hits the government revenue pretty hard. So we've got to get. I think there's no alternative, but we all have to tighten our belts and rely on watch our own spending rather than rely on government handouts. But the government can, and in the present circumstances, provide relief for those who are need it most.
The $800 cost of living handout is something our viewers really wanted, but I understand that there are some pitfalls that need to be avoided. What are they?
Well, there is a risk that you provide cash handouts when inflation is high, and that erodes the value of the handout. So that's one point. But the other point is if the government provides handouts, then some people get used to it and start to rely on it. And governments can't operate like that. The governments have to provide targeted relief for people who are doing it hard, rather than a blanket payment, because there are lots of people who don't need the extra money. There are a lot of people who are doing very well, thank you, out of the economy. However, if it provides targeted relief, there are people on the margins who are going to miss out. That makes governments unpopular, they get criticised. Governments don't like being criticised, they like to be loved, so that's why they'd be tempted to make a bulk payment.
Well, I got you here. Fuel prices are going back up after the fuel excise ends. What's your take?
Motorists will be hit hard as the excise concession comes off petrol prices. And I think what it means is that people will watch the use of their car or their vehicles far more closely. And perhaps the long trips might be put on hold for the time being until petrol prices start to come back, as hopefully they will. But there's no doubt about it, the petrol prices are an important part of the consumer price index. This will add to inflation. This puts more pressure on households, more pressure on businesses too, cuts into their profit margins. So it's an extraordinarily difficult time, and I can't see any relief in sight unless the international situation goes back to normal.
Peter Kennedy, thanks for your time.
Thanks very much, Ivan.
The McGowan government's entertainment precinct law ban has triggered an angry response from an Indigenous community leader, calling the measures a slippery slope to racism. Under the legislation, those who are convicted of antisocial behaviour will not be able to enter the area for a maximum period of 5 years. I spoke with Nalamaya CEO Mervyn Eads exclusively, who's concerned that homeless and Indigenous people will be hit hardest by the proposed laws. How this particular law that's been introduced and policy is going to affect Indigenous Australians in Perth?
Oh, well, I think it's a real slippery slope. The new law of excluding people from the boundaries that they've set up in the city, and I think it will affect my people in a big way because of the segregation. And it's going back in time. When we speak about segregation, my mob was segregated for 1 kilometre from every town site back in the 40s, 50s and 60s, and in some places the 70s. So it's going back and segregating our mob. And while I say that this is racism and aimed predominantly to my people, we know what goes on, and we see what the mayor and the state government think of what's going on in the city, and they want to clean it up. They want to clean the city up of my people, and that's the hard-hitting truth of it.
So how do you think that the government and City of Perth, I guess, should deal with antisocial behaviour in the city?
Yeah, what they're calling antisocial behaviour is homeless people. These people, they have nowhere to go, and this is where they congregate for safety, and they feel safe and a safe place for our people, and the government just wanting to clean up the sight of my people from the city limits, as far as I'm concerned, and what I could see into this. And if they want to clean it up, well, give my people housing.
So you think that the grassroots of the issue is dealing with homelessness?
100% it's homelessness. It's homeless people in the city that they are targeting, and the majority of them are my Aboriginal people. And the answer is give them homes. Don't make legislations and policies and laws to criminalise them further, because a lot of those who are homeless, they do have criminal records and they do fit into these criteria.
If you're saying a lot of people, Indigenous people that are homeless, have criminal records, and this law, you were saying if someone with a criminal record is in the particular area, they'll get banned or potentially face jail.
And fines.
And large fines. Isn't that going to just perpetuate the issue?
It'll perpetuate the criminality.
They can't go anywhere else, so they'll come back to the same place.
They'll come back to the same place, or the slippery slope where they'll all congregate somewhere else, and will this follow them to there as well, in the suburbs, the outer suburbs, the inner suburbs, wherever. It's not going to go away, McGowan government. It'll always be there, address the housing needs of my First Nations and my Aboriginal people, and that'll see a lot of them not hanging around the city.
Now to this week's virus update. The WA Health Department has reported 4,662 cases and 2,713 cases are active. There are 136 COVID patients in hospital, 2 in intensive care. The department has also recorded 10 deaths dating back to the 28th of August, aged from 71 to 98 years old. This week, a total of 10,659 PCR tests were carried out and 3,362 positive rapid antigen tests recorded. Anyone experiencing symptoms should get tested immediately and isolate until they receive a negative result.
WA police are investigating a firearm incident in Nangara after a 34-year-old man was killed. It happened at around 4 p.m. when police were dispatched to a workshop premises on Sydney Road, where a man was shot. St John WA personnel attended the scene and declared the victim deceased, with his injuries consistent to being shot by a firearm. WAMN News understands several police raids were carried out across Perth suburbs as part of the investigation, and the latest killing may have links to bikies and organised crime.
To send a clear message to those in the community that want to commit these acts of violence that it is not tolerated. The community must feel safe. So if people think that they can, in cold blood, shoot people in Western Australia, then the police will be coming for them. The Gang Crime Squad will be paying you a visit very shortly.
From this weekend, the sale of nitrous oxide gas canisters will be restricted to those over the age of 16 to crack down on potential harmful substances. Under the Medicines and Poisons Act of 2014, Nitrous oxide will be reclassified by the Therapeutics Goods Administration as S6 poison, in line with new national restrictions to prevent sales to younger people. Young people aged below 16 years old are banned from purchasing nags. This change comes after growing national concerns over recreational misuse of nitrous oxide inhalation and its response to evidence of severe and potential irreversible neurological damage caused by consistent recreational misuse of the gas.
Following the recent Optus data breach, the Department of Consumer Protection is urging current and previous customers to stay vigilant. Last week, Optus announced nearly 10 million customers had their data stolen in a significant cyber attack, with hackers demanding $1.5 million in ransom for the data. The WA government will issue new driver's licences for those affected by the breach, and the Prime Minister has said Optus should pay the cost for the new passports of those affected. An Australian Federal Police investigation is ongoing. Gary Newcombe, the Commissioner for the Department of Consumer Protection, has said this has been a significant breach of trust in relation to Optus customers' information.
As the Royal Show draws to a close for another year in Perth, there are many good memories for all. Amongst all the exhibitions, though, the Animal Nursery is one of the most important and most loved part of the show. The baby goats, the llamas, the chickens, the ducks, the rabbits and the sheep are just some of the animals the public enjoy engaging with. Royal Agriculture CEO Robin Sermon says the mixed approach with rides, animals and agriculture education will continue into the future.
Look, the beauty of the Royal Show is it appeals to lots of different people. So some people come for the rides and the show bags. Lots and lots of people come for the animals. About 80% of people come to the Animal Nursery, and that's bigger than ever before this year, so that's fantastic. And lots of families come to really learn a lot about farming.
Well, the Royal Show has finally drawn to a close. Melly, I know you're very devastated.
I'm very sad. I'm going to miss all those animals that we met, the goats, the rabbits, and particularly the velveteen rabbit.
So you wonder the oh my god rabbit, right?
Oh, it was so soft.
So like you unbelieve it, and you missed it so much. But don't fret, don't be sad. You can watch it again right now. Luke Derrick has Western Perspective. Good evening, Luke. Take it away.
Thanks, Ivan and Melly. Welcome to Western Perspective. I'm Luke Derrick. The annual Royal Show has drawn to a close this weekend after 7 days of fun, fanfare and agricultural education. There was over 100 free activities at the show for all to enjoy, with animal nurseries being the most popular. We spoke with Nigel Spencer, a farmer from York, about whether he believes the younger generation got a better understanding of rural life and agricultural matters.
Nigel, thanks for your time. You with your favourite velvet rabbit, your most prized possession.
Yeah, they're lovely, aren't they? Not many of them left at the moment, but she's a beaut, isn't she?
She is lovely. So many visitors this weekend, and as Royal Show's draw to a close, what do you think?
Oh, I'm always sad when the show finishes. I've always enjoyed the week. It's the busiest week of the year for me, and I get to catch up with old friends and everyone I know. Everyone comes in to say hello, so it's wonderful. Then I go back to my normal life on the farm, living with 400 animals from camels to cats. Yeah.
You do sound like a Dr. Dolittle life, don't you?
It is a Dr. Dolittle life. Very much a Dr. Dolittle life. Yeah.
Do you think young people has learned more about agriculture and also where the food comes from and also about animals too?
Oh, I definitely think they have. There's so many things they can learn where their food comes from around in all the pavilions, and here they can get up close and personal and touch everything, and they love it. And I love it. Everyone comes in and they go, "This is my favourite spot. I love it. We just come to see the animals," and it makes me feel good. It makes it worth all the hard work that goes into setting this up and keeping it maintained and clean.
Do you find it sad that this is the only mainstream venue that rural and city people can come together and have an understanding and embrace each other to a certain extent in a cultural and agricultural sense?
Yeah, yes, I do often think about that, and I think, wouldn't it be nice if something was set up like all year, that people could drift in and out and visit and everything else like that? I think that would be a wonderful thing for people, and maybe they'll do that one time. There is a city farm in Perth here, which people visit, but something maybe a bit bigger with all the animals and everything would be wonderful. I think it'd be well patronised too.
Do you think the animals enjoy it?
Well, my animals are so tame, they don't They don't really care whether there's one person or 10,000 here. They don't care about the fireworks. They don't care about anything. They're all very, very laid back. There's cats in here with all the birds and animals, and dogs lying around, people having to step over them on the pathways and everything. So, yeah, they're quite happy. Just another day for them.
You're about to go back to York. So what's your hope for next year then?
Well, I hope we can make it as good as this. It's been well received, and the building we're in is awesome. There's a lot of space, and they've got good air conditioning, so we're all lovely and cool in here because it's been a warm few days. So let's hope we can do this again and have the same people that I work with. They're all very, very good, hard working, and we all get on very well. We're a good team.
Finally, do you hope that people will understand that being a farmer is not as easy as it looks, that you're not as rich as you look, and it's all about and it's also about hard work as well?
It's very, very hard work. I get up at 4 every morning, and often I'm not in bed by 1 or midnight or whatever like that. And in all weathers, I'm out there doing all sorts of stuff. It's a bit of a thankless task, but there's a lot of rewards as well. It's a peaceful life. I don't get to see a lot of people, and I quite enjoy that, the peacefulness. And people often say to me, "Oh, why have you got so many dogs?" I say, "Because I like them better than people."
You want more company. That's one of the reasons why.
Yeah.
Well, Nigel, thanks for your time.
Oh, you're most welcome.
And we look forward to see you again next year in the Royal Show.
Well, let's hope we all get together next year and have another laugh and a get together, and I'll bring another few hundred animals.
And now, here is AMA WA spokesman Dr. Andrew Miller with his weekly COVID-19 update and medical commentary.
Hi, thanks for your time. Obviously a disappointing decision for us coming out of National Cabinet last Friday with the removal of isolation periods, which is sending the wrong signal. Really what it needs is a lot better communication to say that it's still incredibly important to isolate, but the government are now not at the stage where they're going to be able to fund people to do so. We need to be honest about that and say that this is going to increase the amount of virus that is spreading through the community, obviously. And that as we move into another inevitable wave of COVID that is able to evade the current immunity that we have in time, then we are going to see a lot of people getting unwell, a lot ending up in hospital, and unfortunately more deaths. So in order to live with COVID, people need to be properly equipped with the education that it's still very, very important to isolate if you could be infectious for as long as you possibly can until you're negative on your rapid antigen test. And that it's very, very important to wear masks when you're indoors in crowded places when COVID's still spreading. We still had 45,000 cases of COVID in Australia yesterday, and we're still seeing many, many deaths, 10 per day in New South Wales. So the disease hasn't gone away, even if the government response is starting to be wound right back and people are being expected to look after themselves. We can do that if we breathe clean air and we have good masks. That will reduce transmission a lot. And we need to also be looking forward to the introduction of things like nasal vaccines, which can potentially prevent the spread in future so that it will be safer to move around in the community. We should spare a thought for those who don't have the advantage of being able to afford to isolate when they need to. And we should be demanding that the government do something to support those people where they are sick or where they are attempting to prevent spread, and when they don't want to catch the disease because they may be, in particular, living with other people who are also vulnerable. We also don't know what proportion of the population are going to end up with long COVID. Even the people who are vaccinated can be susceptible to these long-term symptoms. The vaccines are essential, but they're not perfect. And so while we're still at the developing stage of the therapies, including the vaccines, for this particular brand new virus, we need better education, at least, from the government if they're not going to support people through a period of mandatory isolation. So the message has been poor, the way it's been communicated has been poor, but that doesn't mean that we can't take steps to look after ourselves and be optimistic about the future. Thanks for your time.
And that's Western Perspective for this week. We'll be back again next time, but for now, it's back to you, Ivan and Melly.
Thanks, Luke. Now, here's Leo for what's coming up on 6 News tonight.
Thanks, guys. Coming up tonight on 6 News. Inside the Beehive, we speak to one of Australian political Twitter's biggest users about misinformation spreading during the political campaign and viral comments from an ABC host that she's now labelling a slur. Also, the VEC responds to 6 News as the November election gets closer, but seemingly little progress is made in the registration of a dozen parties attempting to run. And fallout continues from the Optus cyber attack, with the telco now taking out full-page newspaper ads to apologise. You can see full details on those stories and much more on our YouTube channel. Just search 6 News Australia to find us, or on our website 6newsau.com. For now though guys, it's back to you.
And that's our weekly news and current affairs. We have the latest news on our website, wamnnews.com.au.
Don't forget to subscribe to the WAMN Extra News Club so we can continue our work in the community. Full details on wamnnews.com.au/news/extra. From Melly and myself, we wish you good health, good night. See you next Sunday.
Thanks for watching.